here with another day of Opel GT rebuilding. So, the last video you saw this all get the old cutout and new welded in all nice. So right now, I'm working on doing that to this side, which you probably saw in the last video as well. But I had to do a little bit more cutting. There's some stuff that we missed because there's so much gone. So there's a piece for that. And I've got all these other ones to kind of weld and reinforce. So I'm gonna be welding, and I'll kind of show the process as we go. Also, I forgot to clean this up. Gonna have to re-weld this to get this jack point nice and sturdy. Obviously, I have some cleaning up to do, but for the most part, went in pretty good. Obviously had to do some beating and stuff to make everything kind of like work and fit, but I mean, for the most part, everything's definitely solid, which is the most important. It's gonna look a lot prettier, obviously, once I go and grind all the welds down. And the other thing too, with like doing something like this, all of our metal that we're going to is all like contaminated, so it makes the welds really boogery and stuff like that. But for the most part, everything's looking good, so I'll show you guys once everything's ground down and pretty. As you guys can see, we've got some smooth welds now. Obviously not exactly 1000% perfect, but you gotta keep in mind too, we are going to be re-undercoating all of this as well. So as long as this is structurally sound is the most important part, obviously. So as for right now, we've got both of the main two structure pieces that were gone fixed. So as far as that goes, underside is looking pretty good. We have cut this out. I think we put that in the last video. That bottom plate right there, or whatever you want to call it. So obviously all this stuff will need to be remade. This guy's bent right here. I think we're obviously gonna have to cut that out, but I'm not sure if we're gonna wait to flip it over, because we've got that piece there that had been patched and all that stuff. So we've still got quite a bit of assessing to do, but while it was on its side, we wanted to go ahead and do those two structural pieces. So we've got obviously the jack point back tied in, and it's not going anywhere. This one looks really good, obviously, too. So yeah, that's where we're at for right now. So after the piece here, we're attacking the floor pans now. So obviously we've got a bad piece here. I went ahead and cleaned up the metal, and we're gonna do this part first, and I think we're gonna have to flip and repair this stuff from the inside. Since this is the bottom layer, we're just gonna go ahead and do it now while the car is obviously accessible from the bottom. So I'm getting ready to cut that out. Got this one cut out. Got my replacement piece made. Go ahead and weld her in so she's ready to go. Got her all welded in, no more holes. So once we flip it over, we will assess how bad that is in there, and now we'll have something solid to go off of. Pretty excited with how that came out. Jason is working on getting all this stuff off. We're gonna have to actually clean all this off to make sure that we're not missing anything, because there's a chance that even though this undercoating's still on there, it could have started from the inside out. So we're getting all that old undercoating off to make sure that we don't find anything, and luckily we haven't yet, but it's pretty time consuming, a lot of heating and scraping and mess, but it's coming out good. Got this guy marked out now, and I'm getting ready to cut it out. I'm gonna do the bottom panel first, and because this quarter actually overlaps this tail panel, so I'm gonna do this and leave some overhang. I gotta grind all these spot welds out, and then cut this guy out, and then we'll be ready to make a new piece for it. After cutting it out, obviously you can tell there's holes, so I'm gonna have to cut from right here where it's bad all the way up and replace all of it. And it kind of looks like, compared to this piece, looks like it's pretty flat for the most part, or straight. And you can see this one kind of has a bend in it, so I wonder if there was maybe something I was backed into or something like that. So we're gonna remake it all straight and restructure it. Got myself a little poster board template here. Make sure that fits pretty decent, and then I'll trace this onto a piece of metal. It's made it a little bit big just so I can trim it up as I go. Make it into metal and fit her up. So you guys can tell this is pretty much a 90-degree bend on this piece, but it's not like a straight 90. It kind of has a little bit of a radius. You can see it really well right there. So what I did with my piece was got this piece of angle iron and these two C-clamps I used, and you can see this radius kind of on this table. So I clamped it really good. Had my two lines marked where the middle of the radius needed to be, and I used a hammer to form this along the table. That way I got the radius instead of just a straight 90 bend. Not perfect because I'm holding it by hand obviously, but it's kind of hard to see, it's dark, but I'm ready to weld my piece in for the support. And then I'll get to making this piece as well. Alright, I'm going to explain this as best as I can. This is a very difficult piece to make. I'm not super experienced in the metal fab. So, to make all this out of one piece, you basically need some kind of hammer form, which we don't have. If I were to use this as a template, or a hammer form, I would probably just beat the crap out of this and disform it. So now I have to make all these different planes out of different pieces. So, as you can see, this piece is all bent up. I tried to form it, but I just couldn't get it. So this is about what it looked like before, and it was getting kind of close, but it just wasn't cutting it. So I actually did go ahead and cut it. So I'm making all these out of different pieces. So this is gonna be one piece here, so I'm probably gonna go ahead and tack that. That way I have that whole piece, and then I'm gonna make the flat section on the outside a separate piece, along with the flange that actually welds the support as another separate piece. So just so you guys know what's going on, this is another long process, and this one's pretty difficult. So you guys can see what I'm talking about by cutting it up and welding it. Got this piece. This is on the same plane as this. This is on the same plane as this. And as you can see from this side, we've got this curve kind of as we're going for. It looks like it follows this pretty well. So before I get any further, I'm gonna ditch this piece that I had that was all with these other two, and I'm gonna make it with the rest of this. so I need to weld this support on before I do anything else. I got my piece welded in, and I went ahead and undercoated on the inside just to get this drying, because I'm gonna have to go ahead and grind all this. And if you can tell here, all these little spots that you see, those are all spot welds. So that's how I'm gonna be attaching this outside piece to the support. And I've got my template made for that. So I'm gonna go ahead and make this piece of metal and keep letting this undercoating dry. That way I can go ahead and grind this. That way my spot weld will stick to it. Those are all for our spot welds. As you guys can see, did the spot weld punch, and this is the piece on the car. So getting ready to weld her in. Went ahead and undercoated the inside of my piece. That way, you know, we're just trying to be as preventative as possible. I know it's gonna get burned away a little bit with the welds, but that way it has a little bit of protection on the inside of the car. As you guys saw, I time-lapsed pretty much everything. I lost a little bit of when I was welding. For some reason, I don't know what happened to that footage, but got it all ground down and it looks pretty good if you ask me. So now just to finish getting the rest of this undercoating off, and we will be ready to flip the car back to normal and start working on all the outsides as well as the front end. I think Jason is gonna be the one cutting this all out, all this bad, because that requires a little bit more experienced welding and metal fab. But we made a lot of pretty good progress in the past couple days. So I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. So after getting that tail panel piece done, we're pretty much done for this video. Ended up, I know you saw it already, but it turned out super good. And I don't know if I showed this all cleaned up. The next video we'll be working on rocker panels, because obviously they're gone as well. So look forward to that, just more metal repair. So hope you guys enjoyed seeing a little bit of the underbody and getting some things fixed. So we'll see you in the next video.